So anyway, we have about a total of 7 people on with us at the moment, from the information that I can see. And just so you know how this works, this is all based on a Google Hangouts, but it's connected to a lot of other ways of being able to communicate with people and record the session and make it available for others later on. So perhaps down the road we can all get Gmail accounts or something and let the Google gods take care of us that way. But this is actually broadcasting live, and there's a slight gap, just so that you know, there's a slight gap between when we say something, for example, and when those who are attending and watching actually hear it. It might be a 20-second gap or something like that. So just so that you know that it mostly will be irrelevant, but it may become a point to be aware of at some time.
We hear you very well.
Good morning. Anyway, so I think I think we should just pretty much move on now. It's nice to see your faces. And because I can see Michael is on one side and Mirella's on the other side, and I can see half a face of both of you. When whoever's speaking, if the speaker, thank you, you're going to have to be friendlier in Vienna. Whoever is speaking can maybe shift a little to the middle so that whoever is watching can actually see you full face. So I think with that, we may as well begin with the planned meeting. And so what I'm going to do is hand it over now to you, Michael, as the chair of the Alliance in Vienna, and let you get started with any reports that you want to do, or to, in fact, hand it over to Mirella, or as you see fit. I will be in the background, hopefully keeping things moving along on the technical side as smoothly as possible.
Thank you very much. But could we identify ourselves, the people who are online? Could you, everyone?
Yes. And so what we would ask people to do is to most of you will be able to see there is a chat bar there, and you can please enter your names in the chat, and just put your names in the chat and see. And this is one of those instances where I'm asking them to identify themselves and where they are in the chat bar. And it may take a couple of minutes or a little bit of time for it to come in. So we've got Oliver Robertson in PRI, Andrada. We've got Jaime Todd Gare from Amnesty International, Michael O'Connell, who's staying up late in Australia, and Andrada's in Vienna. And so we've got those who have put in the chat bar so far. There are more. Yael in New York has just put in her information. And let me see if anybody else. Anyway, hopefully others will put in.
Okay.
I'll ask them by chat to add their names when they come on, and we'll find out. We've got World Animal Protection from London, Eob Asfor. We've got Odgoji from New York. Anyway, and I think there are going to be more there. So we've got a few on board. According to this, we've got 10 attendees and the 3 of us here. So take it away, Michael.
Okay, thank you. I understand we can use this chat box also to ask questions as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Karen, for organizing this. We really appreciate it, being kicked into the 21st century. But I think it's very useful. It's very useful, since we're scattered all around the world, that we have this meeting before we have the resume session of the Crime Commission. I think it's best probably that Mirella brings us up to date with the arrangements for next Tuesday, isn't it? Yes, the Crime Commission. The Crime Commission. First, yeah. First, Thursday.
Oh, there.
I'm passing it over to Mira.
Okay, the intersessional that the first, yes, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Am I now in the middle? And yeah, if I'm correct, the question is about the intersessional that took place a few days ago and discussed the issue of the basically, it wasn't even an intersessional.
On the 1st of October, this was informal consultations.
Okay, okay. I'm now. I have it clearer. The intersessional will be on the 1st of October, but they have had an informal meeting to discuss a bit the theme and the paper that you have been, which was shared with you. There hasn't been any clear conclusion. Mainly, many member states said that it was too ambitious to try to have a theme for the coming 5 years. They kind of agreed that they will decide on the next 2-year theme. From my guess, and I'm looking here at what one of our intern, Christian, who was during the session, but my guess would be that next year theme will be about how to prevent and counter terrorism, including the financing of terrorism and technical assistance, which was one of the first topic proposed by the chair.
But I think it's balanced by the second point, which is the comprehensive and integrated crime prevention strategies of public participation, social policies, education. It's part of the rule of law, which is also a big mess, but it kind of balances the terrorism with the crime prevention, human rights aspects. So I think they probably go as a package. My guess.
Okay.
So the next 2 years might be agreed upon. But I must admit, I have not had a decent conversation with the chair since this summer. So I'm a little bit behind it. But there we are. Now I should be somehow getting. This now I'm on. Am I on? No.
Oh, it's strange. It's not the same.
You have to wait a little.
Yeah.
All right. Look.
See? Now it changed.
Now look at us. World.
Yeah. Yes. It's simply easier when each one has their own camera looking at them. But we'll bear with this. Not a problem.
It's also a little bit retarded. I mean,
it's not perfect. Even though we're at the age where we're sending people almost to Mars, not quite. We're still having a hard time talking around the world. But keep going, Michael. Thank you.
Well, I do hope to get to meet him, at least in the margins of the Crime Commission. The Crime Commission has been very open, and it's been very easy to lobby delegates when at the time. And I think they almost prefer it too, because they're so busy. They've just come out of the IEA conference, which was apparently very controversial, and so I will do my best to convey your wishes to the chair and the bureau. So that's, I think, the best I can say about that, unless people have comments to make about the proposed topics that we were given. Anybody?
Michael, on that one, perhaps I'm asking them to put their questions in the chat. And again, you just have to remember that there is a little bit of a lag between when you ask the question, then they would hear it, then they would be able to get back. So what we might do is just continue to give your reports for now. Then as the questions come in, if they come in, I will wait for a pause in the discussion or something, and then ask the questions, and or we can pick up the Q&A at the end of your presentations.
Okay, so that basically is the 1st of October here in Vienna. We then move to New York. I'm going to New York next week, and anyone who's in New York, please support our two events. The Mandela rules, it looks like they're going to be adopted. It's a big event. They're sending 3 people from UNODC there. And then we have the femicide event on the 16th of October. And we're doing that with the Austrians and Thailand and the sponsors of the resolution. But we really would like to discuss how we can do something about, practically do something about the killing of women and girls.
Michael,
So-
when you, if I may, when you say you would like to discuss, do you have any planned informal or formal meeting with NGOs there to discuss it, or what are you planning to do to facilitate that discussion?
Well, I will be in New York a whole week ahead of time. It has just been proposed by one of the NGOs that we do have an informal meeting beforehand, sometime during the week. If you people just tell me a date that you'll be in New York, we can do it on that day. I'll find a room and we can discuss at least the femicide event.
So on that one, the best way to get hold of you would be, because you'll be moving around, is it just by email, or is there through Maria, or what is the best way to do that?
I think email's the best way, but copy Maria. I mean, that would be sure to keep in touch. I will be working with the New York office of the UNODC. And of course, I have a telephone number in New York, but I've forgotten it. So the best thing is I check my Yahoo account very frequently. So
then we can just make that available for people.
And if people want to do it the day before, the 15th, I'm happy to arrange it one day beforehand to see what we can do.
So maybe as a tentative date, the 15th, because that gives people something to think about. And I will make sure that those who attend and or will be able to get your email address, because they just need a way to connect.
Yep. Okay. The other one I think is more structured, the one on the Mandela rules, and that's being organized basically by UNODC
and the government of South Africa.
But that has a very formal structure. No, 15th is clear. It is the event is on the 16th, and the 15th was the proposed idea for an NGO informal meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Went back to the side. Okay, just to repeat the dates, but they are actually in the program, because the Mandela rule is set for the 7th of October, and the femicide event is on the 16th. And Michael is suggesting to have an informal NGO meeting the day before of the femicide event, so on the 15th. So it was a mistake on the mail to put the femicide event on 15th of October, because it's on 16th October.
Right.
So that error then is on the website, and I can correct that if that is
okay. All right. So we can use that also to meet with the New York Alliance. I mean, there can be other topics such as exchanging points of view and where we are, etc. Is anyone in New York online?
There is a question from Oliver. He wants to know more about the Mandela rules. Are there any problems expected with the resolution? How do the states, especially Iran, feel about it?
I think everyone expects it to go through smoothly. The time to have objected to this was long ago at the Congress, maybe, but it sailed through ECOSOC, and it's now before the third committee. It's rare that anything gets discussed again beforehand. This is, I think, just to draw attention to the Mandela rules.
It's a launch. It's
the
really
launch of the Mandela, exactly. So I don't think there will be any problem. But
And
I understand.
And the core content of the Mandela rules?
Well, I think I know all about it. They're rather progressive, but in fact, they don't change a lot in the way people practice the prisons, except no one does probably reach the standards of the Mandela, but it's the direction, it's their goals. So they're not obligatory. I mean, they're not, it's not a treaty. So they are whatever guidance, they are hortatory. So we think they will pass. And the reason for doing this is also was to give it a name, so it's short. It's not the revised standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners and offenders. It's simply the Mandela rules, acknowledging the importance that Mandela gave to improving prison conditions in South Africa. So
Thank you.
that I think is a good thing to support, but I don't think there are any problems with it. As far as that's over and done with. That was taken care of, I think, in the expert meeting in South Africa. Okay.
And yeah, Oliver's response to that was that they are minimum rules, however, so we should tell people these are the bare minimum that they must do. That was from Oliver.
Good. Well, I understand that Oliver, the PRI, is a co-sponsor of this and organizing it, as well as South Africa and UNODC. They are considered a co-sponsor. So I thought Andrea Huber was very, very important in getting these schools together. Okay.
Thank you.
So there will be two big achievements. I mean, both of them were kind of scary. I mean, that they weren't going to get through. One is talking about treatment of prisoners in almost every country, and I think we include the United States and Austria, are not fulfilling those rules fully. And the other one, the killing of women and girls, goes on continuously. We know we're trying to focus now on the killing and enslavement of women and girls in Syria, but also Boko Haram in Nigeria. So these are honor killings, things like that are sensitive subjects to many countries where they happen. But they're both true.
Perhaps, Michael, if you could give, in a real nutshell, what's been the progression of the work on femicide, and a status report, essentially just for where it's at and what we're looking toward as we go into this femicide meeting on the 16th.
There was an expert group meeting in Bangkok, Thailand, which basically made some recommendations. At the same time, at the Congress, this resolution that's before the third committee now was worked out more or less. I would say 70% of it was worked out in Congress in Qatar. And that came back to the Crime Commission, where it did go through again with the same supporters, and again with the EU behind it. A few new countries. We focused this time a little bit on women in conflict situations because women are often targeted in wars, recently, and that went through. So, of course, domestic violence and femicide, the killing of girl children, and the other honor killings, the dowry deaths, the bride burnings, all these things are still in there, witchcraft. So we've been pretty explicit about how to kill a woman, and they're horrible. It's just barbaric. So, but fortunately, enough countries came together and pushed it through to this point. And I must also thank my young activists who've been pushing it, from ACONS, who've been very charming delegates and so forth. And we've done, I think Maria will correct me, but at least 6 side events to bring attention to this issue. So we don't expect anything to happen, but again, the same thing. We don't want these resolutions just to pass unnoticed in the General Assembly. And we're trying to involve UNDP, the big donors, UNICEF, UNIFEM, UN Women.
As many segments of the UN as possible.
Right. Who have the money? The guys that have the money.
Mm.
Yeah. And also UNFPA, child marriage. Okay, so that's where we are. And we are producing the 4th edition of Femicide now. An amazing achievement. So we'll present that in New York.
Well, congratulations on all that work for everybody who's been involved and for your support, Mirella.
Okay, that's basically October. November, we start with the anti-corruption. I think that's really Mirella's topic. Yeah.
Yes, it's the sixth conference of the State Party to the UN Convention Against Corruption that is taking place from 2nd to 6th November in St. Petersburg. NGOs should have received an invitation, though we are really following up because it's another unit that has sent the invitation. So in case some who expressed interest didn't receive it, just drop us an email at the ngo.unit mailbox, and we will try to make sure that you get it on time to ensure that then you go through all the procedure for the visa. What will be the main issue discussed is certainly it will continue discussing the review mechanism, because this convention has an added advantage to have something very concrete, which is the peer review mechanism. And many governments have been involving member states at the national level. We have been also organizing joint meeting together, joint training with the UNCA Coalition. You know, the UNCA Coalition is another umbrella organization that, similar to the Alliance, that works especially on the topic of corruption. But I know that the Alliance has applied also as a relevant NGO without ECOSOC. So even under the Alliance, any person, expert interested to come could attend. What else? Yeah, there maybe will be some discussion on this very sensitive issue, which is the participation of NGO as observer to the working group. And it has been put on the agenda of the conference, and it will be discussed. I don't think there will be a breakthrough, but this is just a personal opinion. Let's see how it goes. And I have here close to me Max, who wants to add something.
Who has just published a book on corruption fraud.
So please introduce yourself, and then wonderful to see you.
I'm a police officer in Vienna, and of the Major Crime Bureau I was the chief. And we are a small group of academics and practitioners. And this is a cooperation between American and European experts. And we just published a book on corruption, fraud, organized crime, and shadow economy. I don't know if you can see it.
Turn around.
So?
Show it to the computer. Show it to the computer.
Okay, sorry. So now I hope now you can see it. It's published by Peter Gatkowski from the Kent State University, by myself and Bojan Dovosek. He's a criminologist of Ljubljana. And we have a lot of really good experts. It's a reader, 14 chapters of different experts all over the world, Italians, Slovenians, from Norway. And I think it fits in a little bit. It's a small contribution to this issue, doing something against corruption. The main problem, as it was said 20 years ago, is to build awareness and to sensibilize the people and to work together to reach this transparency. I think this is the main problem. Even in established democracies like in Austria, it is so complicated to reach this transparency and to build this awareness. We try. The book will be presented in the Parliament of Slovenia in December. And just today we had a meeting with a representative of the Austrian Parliament, and we want to continue in the Austrian Parliament to Dr. Jarolim. He is the law expert of the Social Democratic Party in Austria, will arrange a symposium in the Parliament. And we try to cover two topics. The one is the corruption topic, and the other topic will be juvenile crime and juvenile justice. Here I'm working together with John Winterdyke. If you know him from Canada, he just is working on a book again on juvenile justice.
Thank you very much. A couple of things. And I'm getting an echo. But if you could send to me a little bit of information about the book and about yourself, I can put that on the page that goes along with the replay of this event, so people have that information in front of them. Plus, also possibly, I just want to throw out there at the moment that this format, even though we're just getting used to it, could be an opportunity for more broad discussions amongst NGOs on issues such as corruption, more focused topics. This is an update to try to get people a little bit more aware and connected on topics. But if you wanted to, for example, hold a webinar prior to the December, or prior to the November event in St. Petersburg, to apprise and update people a little bit more. If you could find a couple of key speakers, we could make this kind of thing available for topics such as that as well, and try to inform and include more NGOs in these issues. Just to put that out there as we're continuing on. But thank you very much for your report, and please do send that information.
Yeah, I can send you a second, don't want to bother you, but there's just a second book of a bit how to deal with the cooperation of academics and practitioners educating and training police. And I think this is very important. Right. We have a lot of examples, as you know, that this cooperation can be really very fruitful and fits a little bit into this topic too. I send you both informations. I think we have your email address.
Yes, I mean, it sounds to me like, there would be quite a few people who would be interested in the how-to that you're talking about. And so that would be a very good topic for this kind of a format for the future.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any questions?
What I got from Michael was Mark Groen-Jusen and Michael O'Connell attending the conference in Islamabad, December 2015, to speak on victims of terrorism. I guess this is no comments on that one. I was just...
Okay.
And anyway, this is just information. Sustainable Development Policy Issues is convening a conference. Outcomes will be presented next year to Asian Nations Conference. WSV might do a side event at the Commission in 2016. That's information from Michael. I think it's Michael O'Connell. Michael. Anyway, a Michael.
Okay. Well, we are going then into December, which we had agreed to. We're gonna, well, extremism and femicide, which we feel very strongly about. We'd like to isolate a theme, and what has been happening to the Yazidi women and other ethnic groups in Syria is pretty horrifying. And can anything be done about it? We have a number of ambassadors already who have agreed to co-host it with us, and we're hoping that we might have enough material to publish. Of course, people are welcome to join us here physically. Maybe you have an idea how we can do it internet.
Sorry, I have to correct here, Michael, because Syria. It's not in Syria. It's in the territory that has been occupied by the Islamic State. So it's a terrorist group who took part of Syria and Iraq with the help of some states who are responsible, I would say. So let's not accuse the state of Syria for something that they are not responsible of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mirella.
I accept the full correction. Okay. But the point is that also states are responsible for what happens on their territory. But okay, so we will have a lively discussion. You can see it coming. So that's the targeting of women in war. And then we go to the intersessionals in December. I think they're on December 9th.
More exactly, it's the reconvened session of both commission, the Commission on Drug and the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. The 2 days are 10 and 11.
Oh, the 2 days, I lost you there. There's a weakness there. Mirella?
2016, there will be, yes.
Could you repeat from the dates, the 10th and the 11th?
10th and 11th December in 2015 will be held the reconvened session of both the Commission on Narcotic Drugs and the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. These sessions are more to discuss usually budgetary matters, but it is really a reconvened session. What also will take place on the 9th is a special. It's an intersessional more of the Commission on Narcotic Drugs. Because there are preparation now for this special session of the General Assembly that is taking place in New York in next April 2016, and a lot of work is going into this preparation. So I'm sure I mean, especially those who are in New York have been attending or have seen a number of sides events on the topic. And this is going to be a very debated issue, drug policy, until April 2016.
Just quickly, we could report on the meeting that was just held, which I think was an intersessional. No? That was a proper intersessional, where a CND intersessional, where a new board was elected for the Vienna NGO committee, which has a nice balance between the Europeans and the North Americans, also a balance between those NGOs that believe in harm reduction and those who believe in a more, what do you call it, prohibitionist approach. So I think we will enjoy working with them. Some of them are new, but there's a heavy presence of New Yorkers or East Side Americans on the Vienna board. So they've just been elected, and we'll probably do something together with them, particularly regarding drugs and youth, or drugs and crime. Also, another theme they have is drugs and women. So there are overlapping issues between us, and we really should be working with them. And as Mirella just said, they will be coming back here in December, so we might have our own little exchange with our friends in the NGO Alliance and NGO Committee on Drugs.
Thank you. And I think in New York, the NGO Committee on Drugs has been reforming. I don't have many details, but they've set up, I think, quarterly meetings. So they're more active now than they have been in some time. Just a little update. Michael O'Connell said, thanks to Max. John W. and I are friends, and I co-wrote the chapter in his last book on juvenile justice. Wish you success with the symposium. So that was from Michael in Australia. So we've covered most of what we had set out to do. Michael, do you have any other information questions I have put your email address in the chat box. You might want to review the chat box quickly before you jump off yourselves later on, just to see if there's anything relevant and useful. So perhaps, Michael, if you've got any more comments, and then we'll go to Mirella.
I would like to introduce Mr. Billy Batwe. He's going to replace me on the Academic Council on the United Nations System, and he will tell you a little bit about our big conference in January. So I'm going to let him get in the picture here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I think we spoke actually before at some point when you were Skyping with Michael a few months ago, but that's been a while. Anyway, so as you might know, ECUNS is organizing its 7th annual conference, which will take place on 13th to the 15th of January 2016. And the theme for the next annual conference will be peace and security, and the new approaches that especially UN agencies are taking to ensure peace around the world. Obviously, as for the last several years, is where all the UN agencies in Vienna will be represented, or they will be involved in the annual conference. We have been able to secure very good speakers, high-level speakers. Our keynote speaker is going to be the former Serbian foreign minister, who was also the president of the GA a few years ago. And yeah, we have also considered to this time around to include the OSCE, which is a main security player, especially in Europe, obviously. For that reason, then we are considering, or we are planning to have the 12th of January session on OSCE, looking into the work that they're doing, especially in Ukraine. So we're very much looking forward to that. We're expecting once more big turnaround, and especially for me personally, that we are going to give once again the young academics, the participants of the Regional Academy on the United Nations, which is also a program that was initiated by ECUNS, the opportunity once again to participate and to present the outcome of the research that they have been doing throughout the year. Those research are also obviously connected to the UN, and we've had very good cooperation with the UN throughout here in Vienna. So we're very much looking forward to that, and obviously you are invited. If you can make it to Vienna, I don't think ECUNS has a budget to bring somebody all the way, but if you're interested and you are able to get to Vienna, you are most welcome.
And we'll deal with terrorism as well. Huh?
Yes, there will be topics related to terrorism as well. Yes.
Thank you very much, and wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
Can I introduce another not a miscellaneous topic? Irene Mellop is 90 years old, and some of you I see have already signed her card. Anyone who would like to sign her card, and I will deliver it to her next week. I know some of you don't know who she is, but she's basically the grandmother of the UNODC program. So we hope to honor Irene this way. I want
please sign my name, yeah. Michael.
Yeah, okay, I'll add your name. Anyone else out there who would like to be on it?
I'll see if I can, if anybody types their name in.
Okay, I'd like to introduce you one more person. Reshad is another one of our volunteers from the Academic Council. He's our techie. So maybe you two can work out some kind of brilliant scheme.
I love that.
That would be wonderful.
So you tell what your idea is.
Thank you for the introduction. I think everybody introduced themselves quite well. My colleagues have summarized the work we have done very accurately, but I could bring in a volunteer perspective, because people who have spoken before me were experts or academics, but I'm on the other hand a volunteer, and I've worked with a team of other volunteers led by our mentor, Mr. Platzer. And what we basically do is to establish a bridge and a mechanism for the academics and the experts to conduct their work, their civil society work in the UN. So our job is basically to get to know people, get to know how to do things, how to get things done, or prepare registration lists, such as I also get to take part in meetings like this. I had the opportunity and honor to meet Mr. Lassina Zerbo personally, the chief of CTBTO. I had the honor and privilege of meeting Mr. Yuri Fedotov, the chief of UNODC in person. So for a guy 23 years old studying his bachelor's, like pretty awesome, and me and my friends are really enjoying the work. And I thank you everybody for the awesome webinar, and I wish you a pleasant session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And anytime you wish to get technically involved from Vienna, I welcome a support team.
Okay, we have to shine it. We have to shine this on Maria so she gets the last word at the moment.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. We can only see your silhouette, so we just can see the beauty from the outline.
Yeah, there's a window behind. Maybe that has something to do with it. Thank you for setting this up. I think it's an excellent model for the future Alliance meetings. It allows us to see the people as well. So it makes for a better interaction. So I think we have to send you our full mailing list to make sure we get more people on board for the next time. Maybe also some other NGOs that we are working with, like the ones that deal with anti-corruption from the UNCA coalition. That would be a good idea. And in view of the UNCAS next year, also the crime NGOs, to get everybody more involved in the discussion. But anyway, thanks for my part for the excellent coordination of the meeting, and looking forward to the next one. Turning back to
Maria. And Michael, just there are a couple of others who would like their name added. Michael O'Connell would like to have his name added. Yael Andrada Ugoji Eze. And Yael also says that Roger Clark would want his name to be added as well. And Yael is now representing the International Organization for Victim Assistance. So that's
good. Okay, but is Yael there?
She is online. She can't chat because she's not one of the. She can type, send us a little message, and I'm passing that on. But she is online. Yes.
Ugi, what is Ugi? Is he a real person or is he a typist?
Ugoji, no, is a real lady. She's in New York. She's a lawyer and is very active with NGOs in Africa. Ugoji, could you type in just if you can drop in a brief little paragraph or something, I can communicate that to Michael, or it will be available for people to see in the chat box. One of there are strengths and weaknesses for almost every model for webinars and online meetings. The strength of this one is it can follow up with people, track people, allow people to be to discuss at least by chat and connect with one another by chat. But this can be recorded. It's very light in terms of financial costs. My company has provided that, but so there's no perfect system that I'm aware of unless you're willing to spend thousands of dollars, which the Alliance doesn't have. So hopefully this, building on Google's backbone, so to speak, is something that can work fairly well and still create opportunities for discussion and dialogue, dissemination of information that would otherwise just not be possible. I'll also mention that perhaps Irvin Waller would want his name on the card, and Marlene Young and John Stein. Anyway, so I'll send you those later. Mirella, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we close on out? And then I think that's about it for this time.
No, thank you, Karen, and all the best to everybody. We will be probably in touch again. I would leave it actually to Michael to decide when would be our next.
Maybe before the
Before the reconvene session, okay, in December. So, or end of November, before the reconvene session. So yeah, it has to be either the last week or the first week, the last week of November or the first week of December. But we will set more exactly the date.
Okay, great. So then we'll basically plan on a kind of an update session then like this, the last week of November, first week of December. And then there could be other opportunities, for example, to have more of a, an updates information dialogue on, wouldn't be a full dialogue, but it would be a discussion between a few experts on anti-corruption before the November event, possibly in St. Petersburg. Anyway, this is, again, there are these opportunities, and I think as one of those supporting the Alliance, to the extent that we can facilitate these kinds of dissemination of information, introduction of more players, understand the objectives and the goals and those who are working at this, I think the more effective we'll be as a strong or a loose alliance of NGOs. Anyway, thank you very much for your time too, Michael, and thank you everybody for taking time on this what day on this morning, this afternoon of the 29th.
I love the books in back.
Well, yes. There are many. They're not all mine, but
Okay.
anyway. So
Okay.
I thank you very much, and I wish everybody a good day. Any closing remarks at all? Yael would love to stay in touch with Michael, and that's about it.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
And thank you very much, everybody who is involved, those seen and unseen. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I didn't understand. There was only one other